Shalom. So after the last lesson that I recorded, the 7 types of men that you need to avoid, I felt that it was appropriate to do a lesson on 7 types of men that you need. And this is by no means a counter. There's not a counter for every man in the last lesson. And this is by no means an exhaustive list. And of course, for every man in this list, there is, I'm sure there's an appropriate type of woman. However, this is a list of men who are in the scriptures. Some of them you have heard of, and some of them you may not have. I was trying to do some of the lesser known unsung heroes that are in the scriptures, and they are certainly important. So without any further ado, let's start with number 1. The first type of man that you need is Micaiah, who is found in 1 Kings chapter 22. Now, Micaiah was the only one out of 400 prophets who was brave enough to tell the king the truth. The harsh, cold truth. And like I said, it's found in 1 Kings chapter 22, and I will start at verse 6. And it says here, "Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said to them, 'Shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to fight, or shall I refrain?' So they said, 'Go up, for the Lord will deliver it to the hand of the king.' And Jehoshaphat said, 'Is there not still a prophet of the Most High here, that we may inquire of him?' So the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, 'There is still one man, Micaiah the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Most High, but I hate him, because he does not prophesy good concerning me, but only evil.' And Jehoshaphat said, 'Let not the king say such things.' Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, 'Bring me Micaiah, the son of Imlah, quickly.' The king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, having put on their robes, sat each on his throne at a threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. Now Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, had made horns of iron for himself, and he said, 'Thus says the Most High, with these you shall gore the Syrians until they are destroyed.' And all the prophets prophesied so, saying, 'Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Most High will deliver it into the king's hand.' Then the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, 'Now listen, the words of the prophets with one accord encourage the king. Please, let your word be like the word of one of them, and speak encouragement.' And Micaiah said, 'As the Most High lives, whatever the Most High says to me, that I will speak.' Then he came to the king, and the king said to him, 'Micaiah, shall we go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall we refrain?' And he answered him, 'Go and prosper, for the Most High will deliver it into the hand of the king.' So the king said to him, 'How many times shall I make you swear that you tell me nothing but the truth in the name of Yah? Then he said, I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains, as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Most High said, These have no master. Let each return to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell you he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? So he told them the truth. The cold, harsh truth that no one else would. Samuel falls in this category because he told Saul the harsh truth, and Nathan also falls in this category because he told King David the truth. Proverbs 27 verse 6 says, Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. So, you need someone in your life who will tell you the truth when no one else will. Number 2, Elisha, the prophet who saw the chariots of fire when the servant could not. And that is found in 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 15 through 17. And I'll be reading from the New King James Version. Starting at verse 15. When the servant of the man of Yas arose early and went out, there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, Alas, my master, what shall we do? Verse 16. So he answered, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Verse 17. And Elisha prayed and said, O Yah, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. And then Yah opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. I use this example because I feel that it's important to have someone in your midst who can see things in the spiritual realm that you cannot, because we're all only human. We see what we see, and we all are at different places in our walk with Yah. So it's important to have people around you who will come up behind you and encourage you and pray with you and pray for you. We all need these types of brothers and sisters. So next, number 3. Phinehas, who executed judgment. And that is found it's found in the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 6 through 8. And again, I'll be reading from the New King James Version. And indeed, one of the children of Israel came and presented to his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Verse 7. Now when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. Verse 8. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her body. So the plague was stopped among the children of Israel. And then, reading from Psalm 106, verses 30 and 31, and it says, Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stopped. And that was accounted to him for righteousness to all generations forevermore. It's important to have a brother like this because he did what was necessary when no one else would. He stood and executed judgment on the man and woman, and he did what was necessary to stop the plague, because the plague was on the people, and the people were being afflicted, and no one knew what to do except this one man. So you need people around you who know when to say, okay, that's it, enough is enough. And he went and executed judgment to the point where he killed 2 people to do it. So you need people like that in your life. Number 4, Jonathan, son of Saul. I'll be reading from 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 through 3. Now, when he had finished speaking to Saul, the son of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Verse 2, Saul took him that day and would not let him go home to his father's house any more. Verse 3, then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. Now, drop down to 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 1 through 6. Now Saul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted greatly in David. So Jonathan told David, saying, my father Saul seeks to kill you. Therefore, please be on your guard until morning, and stay in a secret place and hide. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak with my father about you. Then what I observe I will tell you. Thus Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said to him, and because his works have been very good toward you. For he took his life in his hands and killed the Philistine, and the Most High brought about a great deliverance for all Israel. You saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood to kill David without a cause? So Saul heeded the voice of Jonathan, and Saul swore, as the Most High lives, he shall not be killed. Now, I included this Jonathan for obvious reasons. Every single one of us needs a best friend, that close relationship, someone who loves you like a brother, and you love him like a brother, and closer. This is the type of person who will stick up for you behind your back. He will speak well of you behind your back. We all need people like this in our lives, because life is not easy, and we need people like this who will stick up for us, and who will do right by us. We will do right by him. It's important. Number 5, Mordecai in Esther chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. When Mordecai learned all that had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He went as far as the front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and decree arrived, there was great mourning amongst the Hebrews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing. And many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Now, I included Mordecai because I feel it's important to have people who, in your midst, who are concerned about the nation, are concerned about your race. Not everybody is like that. I mean, not everybody cares about his fellow Hebrew, his fellow black man, his fellow Hispanic, his fellow Asian, his fellow white man. I mean, I'm not being racist here when I say this. I believe it's important to care about the affairs of the community. And it's important to care about your brethren. You look out for one another, and you care for one another. And not everybody is that way. But you must be the type of person who will care about the affairs of what is going on in your community. Because that is how you stand together in brethren. That's how you stand against the enemy. Number 6. Elihu in Job 32. So these 3 men ceased answering Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel the Buzite, of the family of Ram, was aroused against Job. His wrath was aroused because he justified himself rather than Yah. Also, against his 3 friends, his wrath was aroused because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job. Now, I felt it was important to include Elihu because Elihu was impartial. He gave advice as according to thus say Yah, and he gave it. He did not take sides. He didn't take sides with Job. He didn't take sides with Job's friends. And that is how we have to be. You need people like that who will give advice, middle of the road, who will not take sides with. Not necessarily take sides with you, won't necessarily take sides with your friends or your enemies, but he will just say, give you advice, as Yah says, straight and to the point. No wavering. Need people like that. Now, before I go to verse 7, I want to point out that all 6 of these men are important. They're crucial. But, having said that, this is why I included number 7. Number 7 is David. David, who encouraged himself in Yah. Or as the original Hebrew says, David strengthened himself in Yah. And that is found in 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 6. It says, Now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Most High, his Elohim. So it's important to have the first 6 brothers or sisters, as the case may be. You need these types of brothers in your life. You need the Micaiah and the Samuels and the Nathans who will tell you the truth when no one else will. You need the Elisha who will see things that no one else can see. You need the Phinehas who will execute judgment and take action when no one else will. You need the Jonathan who is that close knit to you, and your soul is knit to his, and his is knit to yours. It's important. You need Mordecai, who loves the nation as much as he loves himself, if not more. You need Elihu, who will tell you the truth straight, middle of the road. But having said all that, you need to be the David within yourself who will encourage yourself at all times. And the reason is because, especially in this day and age, in Western culture, people will not always be there. As much as they would like to be, they're not always there. People are busy with their families. People are busy with their jobs. People are busy doing their day-to-day life around the house, and sometimes people don't pick up the phone. Sometimes people are not able to come to your house to see you. It just happens. It's not a bad thing. It's just life. So you need to be there for yourself. You are the only one who will wake up with yourself every morning. You are the only one who will fall asleep with yourself every single night. Whether you're married or single or whatever, you're the only one who will be there for yourself. So that's it. That is 7 types of men that you need. Shalom.